Can you guys introduce Mommy?
Spill the beans with Dr. Jill.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining on today's episode of Spilled Beans with Dr. Jill. As always, I would like my guests to introduce themselves.
Yeah, Dr. Jill, thanks for having me. I'm Gigi Tsontos, the CEO of Not One More Vet. We work with veterinary well-being, and I'm also an LCSW, so happy to be here.
Thank you so much. So, Gigi, tell me, how long were you in school? What is your expertise?
Well, I'm a very interested, I've had a very interesting schooling. So I started with a bachelor in social welfare policy at the University of Kansas. So just a normal 4-year degree. But then I attended Columbia University for a science and social work degree, where that's 2 years. And then I went back a little later in between, got tons of education and certifications and different types of things, but I went back to San Diego State and got a master's in public administration. So 4 years of higher ed after regular college, but I would say I am a constant learner and have done quite a few things, including I have a PCC, which is a coaching certificate through the International Coaching Federation, which also took a year. So,
Lots of schooling.
yeah, just on, and I keep doing it, adding to it. So, yeah.
When you were in these programs and getting these expertise, were there conversations about vicarious trauma, or was it adjacent more about self-care that you evolved into vicarious trauma?
Yeah. Oh, well, I don't know if it was either, to be honest with you.
Oh,
At Columbia, we were really talking about like the work with the client or the work with the community. So I would say that for me, it's been more around learning as I've grown, getting through. I've run organizations that worked with domestic violence and human trafficking survivors, mental health. I mean, people who are dealing with public health, public mental health programs.
mhm.
Now at NAMVI, we work with veterinary team members who are dealing with it on a daily basis. And until I became part of this, I think I knew what they were dealing with, but honestly, you don't know until you're in it. And I feel like what the team members deal with on a daily basis. I even warn people, I have 5 animals, and when I go to the vet and there's bad news, like my go-to, like my body just starts making my eyes tear. So I'm like, it's not you, it's me, and I don't want you to take this on at the same time,
Yeah.
but they're dealing with it on a daily basis. So yeah.
So teach us, I want to go into what your organization does, and I also want to ask you what best practices you've developed. I kind of want to ask you it all, right? But I am seeing when I started series two, it was for the medical practitioners, and someone had said to me, well, that's why I deal with people because they can tell me how I feel. I can't even imagine what people who deal with animals feel. So, what are you seeing with your agency? And can you talk a
Yeah,
little bit about the organization for those that don't know?
sure. So I'll start with that and then I'll go into like what we're seeing in the industry. So Not One More Vet was started unfortunately in 2014 after the unfortunate death by suicide of Dr. Sophia Yen, who was a behaviorist and a very well-known veterinarian. And some of her colleagues, specifically Nicole MacArthur, came. She said, "I need a place to talk about this." So started a Facebook forum, which has now grown into over 40,000 people participating in this forum, which tells you that people need people, right? And even if you're working with animals, wherever you're working, people need people. So we grew from that to become a 501(c)(3) here in the US, where our mission is to help the veterinary professionals not only survive but thrive. And we do this in three ways: resources, education, and support. And so resources I really like to think of as like, hey, we're helping you meet your basic needs. We're giving you info on how to get access to things. And we also support clinics who are dealing with things like that. Then education, talking, being
Yeah.
here with Dr. Jill, talking to the community, getting out there, just being in different spaces so that not only veterinary team members hear what we do, but all those who go to vets, use their services or the adjacent uh, industries. So we just want to let people know, how do you deal with mental health? We want to make it simple so it's accessible, learn some techniques, knowledge. What do I do if I see someone hurting? All of those kinds of things. And so we do that in all different ways. If you check out our website, there's tons of resources available that we're always updating. And then the other thing we do is support. And so we started with this forum. We started with a peer support program, and we've expanded that into peer support training. So we help people within the industry understand, what is it that how do I know what peer support looks like, either formal or informal, right? And how do I do it so that at least they have some basic skills to engage their community, check in with people. We're not asking you to be therapists or counselors. We just want you to know some of the baselines of how to help your peers, and yourself at the same time. And then we have veterinary mental health support, which are also peer support, but they're facilitated discussions by professionals who help with process and psychoeducation in both group and individual settings, all free to the community. And then the other huge arm, can't change anything if you don't change the systems. So
Mm.
we don't want to put this all on the individual. So we have Clear Blueprint, which is a workplace assessment and certification program on well-being. And we're really trying to help the veterinary industry see where the areas that they can improve and help them do so. So
Mhm.
we feel like giving the systems that support helps the individual and doesn't put all the onus on the individual to maintain a healthy life and all of this. Just how do we set up our systems so that people feel good going to work, have support, can say, hey, I'm having a moment. I just dealt with Gigi and she was crying because her dog got XYZ diagnosis and I need a minute,
Right.
or just setting it up so you're not overworked. So that's what NAMVI does. In the veterinary industry, look, we're seeing burnout, compassion fatigue. If you can imagine on a daily basis, this is not kittens and puppies all day. You can go from that newborn kitten all the way to an animal who's been struck by a car, to a non-medical euthanasia decision.
Mhm.
And all of these little things throughout the day are micro traumas. And they're dealing with those directly and indirectly by working with the owner or the pet guardian, the animal guardian, etc. And this happens throughout vet med. If you're in a zoo, if you're in large animal food, wherever you are, these animals mean something to you. A lot of people come into the field because they love science, they love animals, and they want to put those two things together. But what they don't understand is this is a people
Mhm.
industry, right? People are behind those animals. And like you said, some people, uh, I want to work with humans because they can talk back. Not always. When they're two or one, they don't talk
Yes.
back, and we have to think about
Mhm.
that. But that human is the decision maker. And so we're seeing that interaction between them can be stressful at times. So really, veterinary industry members are dealing with vicarious trauma and burnout throughout their day. They're seeing, unfortunately, we're seeing these times when now everything is so accessible. So they're competing with like Google. Yes, my dog is doing XYZ. And, the Google knowledge comes
Yeah, like the
in.
self-diagnosis.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
right.
So we're seeing exciting since Nambi came into play in 2014. We're seeing more conversation, more knowledge about that. I think in general, mental health at least in the US, we're talking about it more. And so all of that is good. But what we're trying to do is help people understand that it's okay to not be okay.
Yes.
It's also, um, it, dealing with burnout and vicarious trauma, it takes effort. It
Yes.
takes teams. It's not clear. Setting boundaries is important. And we're all bad at that. Humans are bad at that. And so then you have an extraordinary situation and it's even harder, right? We also recommend that people really look at their physical health and make sure they're taking care of themselves. That when we talk about self-care, we're not just talking about going home and taking a bath, but we're talking about boundaries. We're talking about, what makes you happy, building community, right?
Mhm.
Connection is key to good mental health. So we're seeing a lot of different things, and I went off on a tangent,
No,
but
you didn't. You went on the
yeah.
tangent we needed because it's every question that the audience is going to want to know. And I so appreciate it. I do think that there are probably some viewers who are a little bit jealous that this organization exists for this population because they want it for their population, right? Like, where is there a Gigi in the ER and where are you in, the high school? And we need and this is why I have dedicated these conversations because the gems that you're teaching, other people can absorb, even if
Mhm.
they don't have a Gigi on staff, right?
100%.
People need people. So tell me, what have you learned as far as what are some good self-care techniques? I know we want to debunk that it's not just taking a shower and it's not just
Hmm.
taking the bath, right? It's
Right.
sustainable, long-term.
Yep.
How do I do this? It's
Yep.
also, I want to assume that if your care is animals, that maybe that changes what you have at home. Maybe you're like, I don't want to take on more pets because I deal with this all day, right?
Hmm.
Or
Hmm.
maybe you're like, this is my sanctuary, is my pets. But
Hmm.
just having
Hmm.
those conversations with yourself of
Yep.
it's not always easy to leave work at work when work reminders are also at home.
Yeah. I mean, as a social worker, I feel like that's human too, right? So I
Yeah.
go home and there's problems, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say like serious, but things come up, right?
Yeah.
Friends, family, everybody has needs. So, I think real self-care to me are the things that you said. What can I handle and what do I want to handle? What makes me happy and what makes it harder? So, boundaries, not taking calls till 10 p.m., not checking your email, not being on every social media platform. Now, social media can be great, but
Yeah.
it's also a lot. It's a lot. And you can go down. In fact, we just got an email recently from someone who had seen someone talking about a different vet, and they were like, "What do I do? How do I help?" And the other thing is when you consume social media or the news or whatever, you need to do it in a way that allows you to set your boundaries for it too. So, using it as a way for positivity. And I think, like I said, physical health. So
Mhm.
whatever makes you tick, if you're a walker, go on walks. If you love nature, do the nature thing. Uh, you know, making self making professional help a part of your routine
Mm,
can be self-care, right? So when you're dealing with so many different things, having someone who's not in that system to talk to is great.
yeah.
And and this is a human thing. And again, that connection. So find your community. Find the community, whether you're spiritual, whether you love to play soccer. I have a board member who she's like, I sleep like 5 hours a night and I play soccer no matter what. I go to my soccer games however many, it sounds like every day, but I don't know how often. But
Yeah.
right, that's her thing. Like it
Right.
keeps her going. Um, the World Cup's getting ready to come up, and in my household, it's like on 24/7, and that makes my husband super happy. So it's, those things that make you you,
Mhm.
don't lose them, right? So if you love to cook, keep cooking, make the time. If you s- so it's really about being intentional, in my opinion, about adding to your life and not taking from it. So
Right.
not taking the things that bring you joy. So I have five four-leggeds, three Boston Terriers. When people come to my house and they're like, this is chaos. And for me, it's like the perfect match of what I want. But someone else would never take these three Bostons in and take care of them because they are crazy and they do like that. So it is about what you said, Dr. Jill, about what is it that makes me tick? Is it okay for me to have animals at home? Am I dealing with uh you know other issues? I mean, we're all dealing with things, right? We're dealing with finances, we're dealing with what's going on in the community. And so making sure you're adding instead of subtracting those things that hold you together, I would say.
Such great information. We always end the episodes with asking the guest if there's one word, one mantra, one quote, one thing that you want to leave us with to spill the beans, what would it be from you today?
Oh my gosh.
I know it's a lot of pressure.
It is a lot of pressure, but Namvi, we really believe you are not alone. Like
Mm,
you are not alone. You're never alone. And so I'll go with that. Although in my head, there's 10,000 things, but honestly, you're not alone. And I think if you can get back to that, even if you're feeling that way, then finding those connections make a difference. And we're here. And other places, even though you may not know, there may not be not one more ER doc, but there are many communities supporting many people. And yes, our resources are transferable and we're happy to share and engage across the community, but you're not alone and we're always here.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
We're going to leave it there. Thank you so much for watching today's episode. Hi, everyone. Thank you for watching that episode. I hope you enjoyed it. I've shared transparently about my dogs and my love of animals. And so when Gigi responded and said that she was willing to talk to me, I just knew I had to have her in the series. I do think that it takes a special person to take care of animals, but I also totally agree with her that you're not only taking care of the animal, but you're taking care of that caregiver's owner, right? Like it's so many layers. It's a hard job, right? I want to validate that. I want to validate this is not easy work. Trauma work is not easy. And Gigi is super helpful in giving us best practices and establishing what the organization does, while being very realistic of, this isn't a magic wand situation. There's going to be some good days at work and some really difficult days, and they're all human responses. So that was lovely. If you're seeing double, she definitely has like the same or similar glasses as me, so that was fun. But I also love that this is someone that grew up as a social worker, didn't really get formal education on it because it was missing from the curriculum. We've seen this before, but is saying, this is my lived experience. I've done a deep dive in it. I'm now teaching other people about it. I think it's wonderful. It always fills me up to hear other people say, I know about vicarious trauma and I'm willing to talk to you about it. It's like a very sweet connection. Hug your animals tighter today, reminding you that this field, helping others, it is very complicated. And I will continue to send you experts like Gigi to learn more tricks, tips, and tools for you to be successful. You're doing great work. Bye-bye.